Hello and welcome to the first video in this course on A-Level Maths Year 13 Pure. In this chapter we're going to look at algebra and we're going to begin with a topic called partial fractions. Let's have a look. Okay, so before I tell you exactly what this topic is, let's start with something really simple. If I asked you to add these two algebraic fractions together, I imagine you'd be able to do it no problem. We would need a common denominator, and that would be x plus 2 multiplied by x minus 1, and then our numerator would be 3x minus 1 plus 2x plus 2. We would neaten things up, so expanding that numerator, I've got 3x minus 3, and I've got plus 2x plus 4. And all of that is going to be divided by, and I won't bother to expand the denominator, although I could if I wanted. And then finally, all tidied up, that gives us 5x plus 1 over x plus 2, x minus 1. Now, here's the challenge for in this chapter. Suppose instead I gave you this algebraic fraction here and asked you to split it into two fractions. That is, could you work backwards and end up with something that looked like this? So that's going to be a really useful thing for us in pure maths, because it's going to help us particularly when it comes to differentiation and integration later on. So let's have a look at how we do that. Okay, so here we've got an algebraic fraction, and what we'd like to do is split it into two fractions added together. Now you can see in the previous example that when we added together two algebraic fractions that had denominators of x plus 2 and x minus 1, we ended up with x plus 2 times x minus 1 on the denominator. So it's going to suggest to us that if we're going to split this up into two partial fractions, as they're called, it's going to be something over x minus 2, and there's going to be something over x plus 3. Now our challenge is to work out what goes here and here. So let's give these a name, a and b. My challenge is to work out what is A and what is B. Now, we'll come back to this point in more detail later on, but essentially, as long as the order of the top of the fraction is bigger than the order of the bottom, you can always split it up like this. The order just means the biggest power. So the biggest power of x on the top is 1, x to the 1. The biggest power of x on the bottom is 2, because if I expanded this, I'd get a quadratic with an x squared at the front. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, let me be more precise. It's not actually an equals I want here, it's an identity, which means I want to find an expression which is not just true for some value of x, I want it to be true for all values of x. And strictly speaking, when we're looking for something which is true for all values of x, we have a kind of triple equal sign. So let's go ahead and find this. If I add these two together, here's what I get. I get a times x plus 3 plus b times x minus 2, and all of that is divided by x minus 2, x plus 3. Alright, so here's the current situation. On the left hand side I've got 3x plus 4 over x minus 2, x plus 3, and on the right hand side I've got this stuff over x minus 2, x plus 3. Now, if we want the left-hand side to be equal to the right-hand side for all values of x, it actually must mean that the numerators are the same and the denominators are the same. Now, the denominators are clearly the same, but we need the numerators to be the same. So let's focus just on the numerators. 3x plus 4 has to equal, in fact has to be identical to, a times x plus 3 plus b times x minus 2. So the challenge is, can you find numbers a and b that make these two statements the same? Now, you could probably do this with trial and error, but there's a few shortcuts. I'm going to show you the substitution method. Later on in the chapter, I will show you another method which you can use, which is great too, but the substitution method I think is the easiest and the quickest. And it involves thinking of sneaky values of x that you can sub in. Remember, this needs to be true for all values of x. So can you see what a particularly sneaky value of x might be to sub in? Well, I'm going to tell you one. I'm going to tell you two, in fact. The first one is x equals 2. Now here's why this is particularly sneaky. It's sneaky because if x is 2, you get 2 minus 2 in this bracket and it just disappears. So if we sub in x equals 2, we get 3 times 2 plus 4 on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side I have a and then 2 plus 3. And this just disappears entirely because 2 minus 2 is 0. So what have I got? I've got 6 plus 4 equals 10, and on the right-hand side I've got a times 5. Now divide both sides by 5, and I get a equals 2. Okay, now to find what b is, I can be sneaky and sub in x equals negative 3, because that will make that bracket disappear. So let's do that. If I sub that in, I get 3 lots of negative 3 plus 4 is equal to, well, we get 0 from this, because a times negative 3 plus 3. So I've just got b and then minus 3 minus 2. So what does that give me? That gives me negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. And then that's b times negative 5. All right, we'll divide both sides by negative 5, and b is 1. Okay, well, there's my answer. A is 2, b is 1. A is 2, so that's 2 over x minus 2 plus 1 over x plus 3. And you might want to add these two algebraic fractions together just to check that you have indeed got this original problem. So there it is. That's how we split an algebraic fraction into two partial fractions. Let's have a look at another example here. All right, so in this one, the difference here is that, well, I haven't got a factorised denominator, but that's no problem. I can just do that myself. So if I factorise the denominator, it gives me x minus 3 over x plus 3, x plus 1. So it's important to do this because, as we saw in the very first example, we know that our partial fractions will have the same denominators, just one in each one. And here's the challenge. We want this to be identical to something over x plus 3 plus something over x plus 1. We can work out what those somethings are by adding these two algebraic fractions together. We get a times x plus 1 plus b times x plus 3 all over x plus 3, x plus 1. And then we focus just on the numerator. On the left-hand side, that's in our original term, I had x minus 3. And the numerator on my partial fraction side is a x plus 1 plus b x plus 3. And now we just need to think of some clever values to sub in. Well, the first one I'm going to do is sub in x equals minus 1. It doesn't matter what order you do this in, but x equals minus 1 will kill this fraction here. So when x equals negative 1, I've got minus 1 minus 3 equals, and this is 0 because minus 1 plus 1, and then I've got b and minus 1 plus 3. So what does that mean? That means that minus 4 on the left-hand side is equal to 3 minus 1 is 2b, and now I know that b is negative 2. Okay, so there's my first part of the answer. To find a, I'll want this bracket to be 0, which means I'll sub in x equals negative 3. And when I do that, I get minus 3 on the left, and on the right I get a times minus 3 plus 1. This bracket is just 0 because negative 3 plus 3 is 0, and that leaves me with negative 6 equals, and that's minus 2 there, so minus 2a, and that means that a is 3. There's the second part of my answer. All stitched together I get 3 over x plus 3, and then it's b is minus 2, so I could write plus negative 2 over the fraction, but it's maybe nicer to just write minus 2 over x plus 1. Okay, let's look at one more example now. So here we can see that in this case we've just got the number 2 on our numerator. That's fine. We can still split this up, and we're going to be splitting it into something over 2x plus 1 plus something over x minus 3. Add these two together, and we get a times x minus 3 plus b times 2x plus 1 all over 2x plus 1 x minus 3. Now it's the numerators we're interested in. On the left hand side it's just 2. On the right hand side it's a x minus 3 plus b 2x plus 1. Now what are the clever values of x to sub in? Well, I easily see that if I sub in x equals 3, it gets rid of that bracket for me. So on the left hand side I've just got 2, and on the right hand side this bracket's 0, and I've got b times 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1. Alright, so that's 7, so 7b equals 2, so that means that b is 2/7. Okay, so a little bit messy, but not a problem. To get rid of this bracket, I'll set x equal to -1/2, because 2 times -1/2 is -1, which cancels with the 1. So on the left hand side I've got 2, and on the right hand side I've got a times -1/2 minus 3. Okay, well this is -3.5, or -7/2, which means that a, if I divide both sides by -7/2, I get -4/7. So what does this mean for our partial fractions? Well, there's two ways we could write it. We can say it's a, which is -4/7, divided by 2x plus 1, and then plus b, which is 2/7, over x minus 3. Now, this does look messy, but actually this form is usually what we're looking for. It's the most useful when we're going to do when we're going to use the partial fractions for differentiation and integration. So very often it can be useful to leave them with these fractions in the numerators, but if we don't want to, we could of course write this as -4/7 2x plus 1 plus, and then 2/7 x minus 3. That would be okay too. Alright, hope that was a useful introduction to partial fractions. In the next video we're going to look at triple brackets. I'll see you there.